Let me start by saying this. You never forget the moment your stomach drops, your heartbeat slows, and you realize the person you built a life with lied to your face. For me, that moment came when my kids, just 4 and 6 years old, described a life I didn't even know my wife was living. A secret routine, secret trips, secret miles on her car she thought I'd never notice. And when I finally uncovered the truth, I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just planned. Because if she was going to destroy our marriage, then I was going to make sure the man she did it with lost everything he ever took for granted. If you've ever been betrayed by someone you trusted, if you've ever wished you could deliver justice without losing your mind in the process, then hit that like button, subscribe, and settle in. Because this is one of the most devastating, calculated, and satisfying revenge stories I've ever told. Way back in the early 2000s, life felt stable. Not perfect, not magical, but stable. My wife and I had 2 little kids, both in that adorable age where they repeat everything and hide nothing. They were honest, painfully honest, which is exactly how the cracks began to show. One evening, I'm sitting at the dinner table when my daughter casually says, "Mommy took us to Grandma's again today." Now, normally that wouldn't mean anything, but her parents lived 90 minutes away, a 3-hour round trip. Doing that once in a while? Sure. Doing it 2, sometimes 3 times a week? That didn't make sense. And every time I asked my wife about it, she'd give me this half-second pause before answering, a pause thick enough to cut with a knife. A liar's pause. Something in my gut whispered, she's hiding something. But the human brain is funny. It will protect your heart even at the expense of the truth. One morning, after she left with the kids, I walked past her car and froze. The trip odometer. It wasn't reset, but the mileage didn't match anything she'd told me she'd done. She was driving hundreds of unexplained miles every week. I remember gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles went white. Anger? Confusion? Fear? All of it. So I started writing down her mileage every time she left the house. And every time, it climbed. A little too high, a little too fast, a little too suspicious. By the end of the week, it was an extra 400 miles. 400! That wasn't errands, that wasn't her parents. That wasn't normal. The truth wasn't just whispering anymore, it was screaming. And then fate basically handed me the smoking gun. One day I sit down at the computer and there it is, a sticky note with her AOL password written on it. Almost like the universe itself said, "Are you ready for the truth now?" My hands were shaking when I typed it in. You ever feel your heart pounding in your ears? That's what it was like. What I found hit me harder than any punch I'd ever taken. Emails, dozens of them, between her and her college best friend, talking about how she'd been hooking up with, not a coworker, not some new guy, but an ex-boyfriend from high school, someone she never really got over. She bragged about meeting him for lunch, about how his wife let herself go after having kids, as if mocking a woman who trusted him made it more thrilling. I printed every one of those emails, held the papers in my hand, and felt something inside me quietly break. Not loudly, not explosively, just a cold, calm fracture. The kind that leads to decisions you don't come back from. Knowing wasn't enough. I needed proof, real proof. So I called a friend who was a cop. He recommended a former police detective turned private investigator. Let's call him Ron. Ron didn't mess around. I handed him the emails and everything I knew. He nodded once and said, "Give me a week." He only needed 3 days. When he handed me the file, I'd swear it felt heavier than it should have, as if the truth itself had weight. Photos, times, dates, descriptive notes, the full play-by-play of my wife's betrayal. She would drop our kids at her parents' house, drive to meet this man for lunch, then check into a cheap motel for a few hours before picking up the kids like nothing happened. My wife, the mother of my children, was cheating on me between school pickups. something snapped inside me. Not rage, not grief. Purpose. Pure, focused purpose. The more I stared at the photos, the more another thought crept in. Who the hell was this guy? Ron found everything. His name? Bob. His marital status? Married. Kids? 3. Job? VP of sales for his father-in-law's company. And that last part, that was the thread that could unravel everything. Because men like him, the ones who cheat in the dark and smile in the light, they always think they're untouchable. But nobody is untouchable when the truth comes knocking. I hired a divorce lawyer immediately. I wasn't going to scream at her, I wasn't going to beg, I was done. And on the day she was served, right in the middle of her workplace, something else happened. Ron knocked on Bob's wife's door. He handed her the full report, every picture, every note, every disgusting detail. The betrayal on her face, Ron later told me, turned to something sharper, cold, calculating. This woman wasn't going to cry, she was going to burn his world down. And fall they did. Court records later revealed everything. She drained their joint account, took the kids, moved out, filed for divorce. Her father, Bob's boss, found out, and Bob was instantly fired. Then came the eviction, because her parents owned the house he'd been living in. And after that, things got ugly. Police reports, cameras, violent confrontations, restraining orders. At one point, he showed up screaming at his soon-to-be ex-wife. Her brother stepped in, and Bob left with a broken nose. By the end, he had no job, no house, no marriage, no custody, and, thanks to public records, no way to hide it. Eventually, he skipped town entirely. And as for his ex-wife, she rebuilt herself, got a job at her dad's company, later took it over. Justice doesn't always need a courtroom. Sometimes the truth is enough. My own divorce wasn't as dramatic. The courts didn't care about the cheating, they rarely do. But I cared about one thing, my kids. So I stayed calm, civil, cold even. I spoke to my wife only when it involved the children. No yelling, no revenge games, just distance. And when my kids grew up, I stopped speaking to her entirely. Not out of hate, just absence, a door quietly closed. My wife thought she was living a second life. Bob thought he was untouchable. But in the end, her lies cost her our marriage. His lies cost him his wife, kids, job, home, and entire reputation. The best revenge isn't loud, it isn't violent, it isn't messy. It's surgical, precise, delivered with the quiet certainty of someone who knows the truth is a weapon sharper than any blade. And when that truth finally hit them, they didn't just stumble, they collapsed. Betrayal is a wound you don't forget, but it doesn't have to destroy you. Sometimes the calmest person in the room is the one who already knows how the story ends. And in this case, justice didn't just come, it echoed. If this story made your blood boil, or made you cheer a little when karma did what karma does, hit that like button. Tell me in the comments, what would you have done in this situation? And of course, subscribe for more high-stakes, emotionally charged revenge stories just like this one. Until next time, stay sharp, stay aware, and stay unbreakable.